All right, so welcome to episode whatever this is. I've lost count.
It's 40-something.
I think it might be 48. Anyways, and we are on the road driving back from Coeur D'Alene, Idaho, and have the podcast studio set up in my 4Runner. So if you hear wind or you hear my engine revving
Or honking.
like that, that's because we're on the road. But we figured we would utilize our time well and kill two birds with one stone. We just went out to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and spent about a week out there at my buddy Seth's Jiu-Jitsu Academy. And if you guys have been following me, you know that story. He was a Navy SEAL, one of our best friends, and tragically passed last year. And we're trying to help out and keep his Jiu-Jitsu Academy alive, and went out there and taught some seminars or some classes rather, and just bonded with the guys and took care of some stuff, and now we're headed home. So welcome back, Greg Lapin.
Yes, thank you for having me.
This is what, your 11th time on the podcast?
Yeah, I lost count. I'm going to have to take my shoes off.
All right, so we got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about today, but I think we should open up with everybody's favorite topic, which is jiu-jitsu, because that's what we've been doing all week, and we had some interesting experiences over here. So why don't you fill them in with what's going on?
Yeah, so we came up to Coeur d'Alene, and as Big Greg said, we were visiting our friend Seth's Academy, Henzo Gracie Academy, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Fantastic academy, and we guest instructed for a little while. It's pretty cool. Got to meet different students, and anytime you go to a new academy, different academies have their own culture, personality, style, if you will. So it's always, we go in, try to be polite, tread lightly. We're guests, and not be too overbearing. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And we thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk about some jiu-jitsu etiquette, because there's etiquette that takes place at your own academy. There's etiquette that takes place when you're visiting other academies. But then there's also other etiquette when people are visiting your academy and they're the visitor. And I think there's some important things to touch on all those scenarios, because they're a little different, right? So, for example, the first night I rolled with their kids coach, right?
Yeah.
That purple belt, I think he's their kids coach.
Yes.
And we just had, I wouldn't call it a flow roll, but
Maybe it was a flow roll for you, but it certainly wasn't a flow roll for him.
yes. But the thing is I don't show up to somebody else's academy, and I actually almost feel uncomfortable submitting somebody as a visiting black belt.
Yeah, again, I think anytime, especially if you're visiting an academy, if you're a visitor at an academy, it's kind of like a first date, right?
Yeah.
And you never go all the way. Well, I'm a scumbag, but no, you never go all the way on the first date. It's a little polite courting, and especially as a higher ranked belt versus a lower belt, you match their intensity, you match their level. And because you're a higher belt, usually you can control that.
Yes. Yeah. And I remember I visited Academy, this was years ago, but I was still a black belt, and I went with one of their blue belts, and he didn't really feel like a blue belt, because I was basically doing whatever I wanted to him, right? And then he came and visited my academy, I don't know, a year later or something, and he was an absolute nightmare.
Right.
Right? Nightmare.
So you think he was being polite the first time a little bit?
Yeah, and so I said it to him right afterwards. I was like, well, you're not the same human that I rolled with 6 months ago. And I said, your jiu-jitsu didn't get that much better. And he goes, bro, that's the first time we met.
Right.
And I was like, cool, because that was his home.
Absolutely. And that's the way to do it. And I do the same way. As an owner, and granted, for those of you that know, I'm not a black belt yet. I'm a brown belt. And when people come in and visit my gym, I do jiu-jitsu with them, and I make sure they know what my level of jiu-jitsu is, but it's very polite. You know, it's a very polite form of jiu-jitsu. And for you jiu-jitsu guys out there, you understand what I'm talking about. You know, I'm not like using super, super crazy pressure. I'm not ripping cross faces. I'm being polite. I'm actually grabbing.
No knee on belly, probably.
Like, you know, not other than just to control a position and transition. You know, I'm not like driving my knee through their sternum. You know, and even when black belts come and visit, like, I'm not going to let them beat me up. But it's stuff on the side of the road. That's beautiful out here, by the way, folks. If you haven't made it up to Coeur d'Alene, come visit. Go train at Renzo Gracie and go get your haircut from our homie, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
We'll talk about that next.
But you know, it's that courting period. It's that first date. And I would say it's even more important. You know, we came up as guest instructors. We came up, you know, basically invited up to help out our friends. You know, help out our friend Jordan, who's the professor there. You know, he's getting ready to go and have some surgery, and he's not moving around great. And you show your guests a different sort of courtesy than you would your own teammates. You know, and especially in your case, you know, you're coming up as a black belt, and now you're the black belt running the class.
Yeah.
You know, and we share duties because there are certain things that, you know, that I see as kind of my go-to or specialty, and there are certain things yours. So we share teaching duties, but regardless, we're guest instructors, and you've got to kind of show that sort of courtesy, and not to mention that there's a courtesy in the hierarchy of the belting system in jiu-jitsu. You know, I never talk shit to a black belt in any academy in front of students. And now, you and I are friends. What did I call you during training at the academy?
Yeah, professor.
I called you professor the whole time. And we're homies. But there, in front of the students, you're professor. Plain and simple. And that's important to me.
So, something that came up, and I'm not going to drop any names in case you're listening, but you're getting put on blast a little bit. Not you. The guy that did this. And so we showed a technique, and the technique was some half guard stuff. And well, I'm here to tell you it's legit because it's Lucas Leitch's half guard system, and he's showed it time and time again at the highest level that it works. But the fact that it works or it doesn't work is really irrelevant, right? I don't even think that's an important part of this conversation. But there was someone there that questioned whether it was a valid technique or not, and expressed that to you. And I think that's a good thing to talk about because, listen, it's jiu-jitsu, right? There's a counter to the counter to the counter to the counter, and that's what makes it interesting and addicting and fun. But any technique that's shown, you can say, well, what if I did this? Okay, well, what if you did do that? Then I would have to do this. And then you would have to do that. And then I would have to do this. And you can go on for eternity with that what if, right? And so if you're being taught a technique and you're questioning the validity of it, and you think that it's something that wouldn't work in a live role or wouldn't mesh well into your game, my advice to you is just shut the fuck up. Yeah? Shut the fuck up. Take what that person is teaching you, and if you can add it to your toolbox and it becomes part of your game, cool. If it doesn't, then no harm, no foul, right? And then again, there's also a way to ask the question, like, well, listen, if I was trying your technique and somebody did this, what do you think would happen?
Right, or how do you stop them from doing this?
Yeah.
You know, and that's a very easy, and like you said, that's jiu-jitsu. There's a counter to a counter to a counter. And any technique, I don't care how awesome the technique is, if it's applied incorrectly or poorly, well, again, that's jiu-jitsu, right? You know, I'm trying to interrupt what you're trying to do to me. But don't start sharpshooting it before you validate it. Give it a go.
Yeah, so it was a much lower ranked belt, and the way that he questioned what we were teaching was basically, I could just do this and shut that down. And, I mean, what do you do at that point? All right, let's go live in front of everybody.
Right.
You know? And yeah, you could do that. But it's just a stupid place for the instruction to arrive at in the first place. And so, again, it's courtesy of belt, it's courtesy of who's teaching something. Like, I've been a black belt for over 6 years, and if I had a purple belt visiting my academy that wanted to show me, like, we were talking about something, he's like, oh, I know how to do that. Well, cool, man, will you show me? Even if he showed me something that I thought was hokey, the last thing I'm going to say to him is, that wouldn't work.
Right.
So it's not just belt rank. It's you know what it fucking boils down to? Is just social awareness and knowing how to fucking be part of a room full of people and interacting in a normal manner. And that continues to be lost on a lot of people.
Show some humility. I think with that specific purple belt, I think that's what it came down to. I think it came down to a lack of humility. He's feeling his oats. He's young. He's a purple belt. He's a badass, right?
Yeah.
And because he may have mistaken your politeness rolling with him the night before for him doing really good, you know, which,
yeah.
you know, you'd be surprised. But a lot of people still, look, I have it happen to my students. My students at my academy start to feel, because, you know, I use them to flow, or I use them to work on the stuff that I'm trying to hone and get better at. That's not my go-to or my A game, and I'm practicing on them. And every couple of weeks, you got to dial it up, because they start to mistake that for them, like, ooh, I'm almost getting coach, or I'm almost getting professor. No.
And it's almost like that, mistaking your kindness for weakness.
Yes.
You know?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, general etiquette, you know, and it is up to us. It's up to the higher level belts to mentor and show the lower level belts about etiquette and the appropriate behavior in jiu-jitsu and in academy. And as a general rule, you know, be on time. Be on the mat on time. Don't show up late. If you show up late, the very, very first thing you should do, I don't even step on a mat until I'm invited by the professor onto the mat. And then the very first thing I do is I go shake his hand and apologize for being late, you know? And then I get right into the mix.
Yes.
And then I'm drilling, I'm not just sitting there on the side. I'm not on my phone on the mat checking my Instagram account or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah, and there's... we talked about this because there was some people checking phones, and I see that at my academy very rarely. But as we think about this stuff and we verbalize it and we talk about it, I'm gonna have a sit down with my entire academy about some of these things. And you know, if you're a on-call physician, and we both have some students that their profession keeps them in an on-call capacity.
Right.
So if their phone beeps, they run over, they check it, cool, right?
And they're right back to drilling.
And they're right back to drilling. So there are some exceptions. But I had something, one of the gentlemen that I met yesterday, I wanted to connect with him on Instagram or whatever. Or no, he was asking how to subscribe to the podcast. So I said, here, just give me your phone. And he goes, I don't bring my phone into the academy. It stays in the car when I train.
Nice. I like that.
And I like that too. I was like, I think that's probably a good habit to get into if you don't need your phone, because we're all addicted to our phones, and I'm the worst at it. Like I have no problem admitting that, but the whole reason we go train is to detach from everything else and focus on you and your team for an hour. And I just can't see a scenario outside of an on-call type profession where you need to have that with you.
And you're there to learn. You're there to learn, not just there to learn, but you're there to help your training partner learn. And if you're over there checking your phone, then not only are you not learning, you're detracting from your training partner's time there to learn. And it's just generally rude and in poor taste to the coach or the professor that is there giving their time to teach jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like same thing, like when the coach is demonstrating or talking or teaching the technique, that is not the time to go get a drink of water.
Nope. Yeah.
You know, like you get a drink of water when it's a water break. You know, when you're drilling, finish drilling. You're thirsty? Cool. Everybody's thirsty. Suck it up.
In what other situation in life where you are learning something from an expert, would you just start checking your phone? Like, would you do that in a college class? Well, you shouldn't.
People do though. That's the way, especially
That's
the younger,
why that's becoming the culture.
the younger culture. Yeah.
Just fucking block out whoever is instructing and get sucked into your little bullshit internet world.
That's it. Twitter. I gotta post a tweet or a twat.
I gotta twit and tweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh fuck, dude.
But yeah, I mean, general jiu-jitsu etiquette, like after the first roll, all right, cool. Now we can dial it up a little bit. The next time we're together, okay, cool. Now we can, we've gotten the first day out of the way. We've held hands, we've hugged, we kissed on the lips. Now let's go all the way. And,
What do you mean by all the way?
Let's fuck each other up. Like, let's fucking grind, dude, That's the thing. And like, for me, I also personally have this thing, like when I roll with lower belts, I match their level of intensity, and I typically don't submit them when I am rolling with them for the first time.
Yeah.
I play catch and release.
Yep.
Right?
And if it is someone, like if I have a wrestler show up and it's his first day at jiu-jitsu, but he's going fucking crazy, he's a good athlete and he has some combat arts experience.
Yeah.
They'll hammer that dude, right?
Yeah.
But then afterwards, I always am always sure to have the discussion with them. Like, listen, the reason I just went hard on you, if that felt hard to you, is this. You've shown me in a matter of 20 seconds of rolling that you're an athlete, that you're tough, that you have some experience. So this is now an opportunity to show you the power of jiu-jitsu instead of simply introducing you to jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And if they're wrestlers, 9 times out of 10, they're happy about that. No, I want that. I want that kind of roll every time.
Yeah. But that's the rarity for sure. And lower belts, like I said, I play catch and release. I don't kill them with pressure. And then it's actually kind of the same thing. Like whenever I roll with a black belt, man, out of respect, whether I can give that black belt a run for their money or whether they just are going to utterly destroy me, out of respect for them, I'm never like spastic or fucking grosso with them, like,
yeah,
I just out of respect for them and the belt and the time they've put in, whether I can beat them or not, and it's like, I've got black belts that I've rolled with and black belts that I train with that they're very good training partners for me. And, I'll roll with black belts fairly frequently that I can, submit or dominate, not do whatever I want, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I roll with Joao or I roll with you. I can't do that. And with you guys, I'm surviving. But
don't put him and I in the same category, please. Just in case he listens to this.
But I'm not spastic. I'm not like just exploding. I'm not going to cross-face you across your teeth and nose and gums to try and achieve what I want.
Yeah. Yep.
Because it's not worth it to me. I'd rather have a good, polite, fun roll where we both get something out of it. And if you submit me, cool. If I submit you, cool. It is what it is. But I'm not going to, I'm not going to just fucking go all out to try and tap a black belt, man.
That's a feather in your cap.
Yeah.
Some other things that are important during the roll, and I have this conversation with the kids class often, but you see it with adults too, is, dude, when we're rolling, we're not talking. Now, are there exceptions to that? Yes. If it's your second day at jiu-jitsu and you're rolling with one of my brown belts and you have an immediate question pertaining to something he just did, okay, maybe it's acceptable under that circumstance, but shy of a scenario where someone very junior to someone very senior is seeking some type of technical advice, there's no talking when you roll. I'll walk by the kids and there'll be one kid in mount and the other kid, and they'll be like, "Where are you going to so-and-so's birthday party this weekend?" And I'm like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you think it's time to talk about somebody's birthday, you don't understand what's happening right now. You're simulating a fight. Someone's on top of you and you're thinking about going to a birthday party. When you're in mount, when you have somebody mounting you, you have one thing on your mind. period. And that's escape right now because I'm about to be killed. And you can't bring the right energy to a sparring session. I mean, and it's because it's jiu-jitsu. Have you ever had a conversation with someone while you're kickboxing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you'll get punched in the fucking mouth. But in jiu-jitsu, you can get in comfortable positions, and if you want to let your guard down, you can, because sometimes there's not an immediate repercussion.
That's not the time or place, though.
No, of course it's not the time or place. It's fucking ridiculous.
Man, I was yelling at my students last week. I was mad as fuck, yelling at them when they were talking. Shut the fuck up. Drill. It's time to drill. Stop talking, you know?
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I walk that line because I'm hard on the kids because they need more discipline.
Of course.
And I don't even know if hard on them's the right word. Coach Tyler's hard on them. It's push-ups and sprints.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm also like, hey, stop talking. Eyes on me, okay? I'm trying to show you guys something. And I probably have to get that tone 4 or 5 times a kid's class, right?
Okay.
Just to kind of reset them, get their attention, get their focus back on me, and then we continue. Very rarely do I have to do that kind of stuff in adult class. But you're right. If we're drilling something and it's supposed to be a passing drill and you look over and 2 people are talking about whatever, especially if it's not jiu-jitsu related, it's like, take that off the mats. If you don't want to train, what you're doing is you're distracting the people that do want to train.
Yeah,
and wasting everybody's time.
Let me add so everyone doesn't think I'm a raging asshole.
You kind of are, though.
I don't normally yell like that at my adult students. I was cutting weight and I was very, very, very angry. But it is.
So it was displaced aggression. On your students.
Yeah, I apologize, guys, for my students that I was yelling at. But yeah, not the time or place. And so the other thing, while we're on that, talking while drilling or rolling, is when you're drilling and the instructor says, all right, I want you guys to drill it back and forth, do 5 and 5 back and forth, get your reps in. When the coach/professor says, all right, guys, come on, bring it back in. We're going to move on to the next transition. Don't stay where you're at, coaching something else, or continue to coaching your training partner through something or talking about it. That's the time to finish your rep real quick or stop and then circle back up around. Because, there are times that I'll be back in the middle of the mat with my uke or the person that I'm demonstrating it with, and the rest of the class is there circled up around us, and there's one pair off in the corner, off to the side. Still, I'm like, guys, come on, bring it in. Like, I shouldn't have to say,
no, you shouldn't
guys,
have to
come
say
on.
that. That actually happened yesterday.
Yes.
Another thing that's important during a live roll, and something I preach at my academy all the time, is I know that whatever round that you are currently in feels like the Mundial's World Championship finals, right? And especially if you're going with one of your nemesis at the academy, one of those guys that you have good back and forths with, or someone maybe you're on the losing end more often than not. Now you got a good position. I get it. I've been there 1,000 times. But that doesn't mean you just roll over the females and you're like, I'll look over and there'll be like a takedown to where someone's on top of somebody else. So you got 4 people involved and nobody wants to call timeout and reset.
I've got a fix for that at my academy.
What's the fix for it?
So we have a standing rule. If you and your partner crash into another team, 100 burpees before you're allowed to leave.
Oh, okay.
You and your partner both, 100 burpees. So, for me, obviously, like you guys, we do a lot of takedowns. Most of our sparring starts standing, unless it's absolutely packed and crazy crowded. We start standing. We spar for takedowns.
Yeah.
We don't pull guard at my school. And for safety, you can't have 200-pound plus dudes crashing into the girls, or anyone really. So yeah, if you crash into another team at my academy, it's 100 burpees before you're allowed to leave.
I like that.
And we collect, dude. We collect. It's got to be a harsh penalty to maintain that safety. Now, I will say this. There are a couple exceptions that my students know about. So, let's put like pre-PANS last year, right? Myself and a couple of my training partners, we were training for PANS. We were in our training camp. When, like me, my main training partner, Zach at the time, and Eric was one of the other ones, both those guys. When we get ready to do our rounds, our hard rounds, everybody better keep an eye on us and get the F out of our way,
Yeah.
Because we're not stopping for anything until that timer dings. But everyone knows, and usually, it's toward the end of the class, the drilling's been done, and now we're getting hard rounds in. And it's like, yeah, if you see us, scramble and get out of the way fast.
And there's always been the unwritten rule in jiu-jitsu that if you make way for the higher belt, right? And so if I'm rolling and there's with a blue belt and there's two white belts trying to murder each other and they're rolling towards me, it is up to them to make way for whoever is the higher belt. But there's a caveat to that, because sometimes based on the positions, I may see the scenario developing before they do, like they're turned away or whatever it is, right?
Right.
And so I always tell my students, the first person that's responsible for making sure that you're not fighting on top of each other is whoever identifies the problem first, period. That's who's responsible for it. I don't care what color your belt is. With that said, if you're a white belt, make way for upper belts. You should know who's around you. And it's actually important to have awareness of where the other people are at, who's around you, and not just for jiu-jitsu, just for life, and use training as an opportunity to build that awareness. That's why I like making the kids run backwards and do some drills like that. And you should see them fucking running into each other, falling down, because they haven't developed that yet, Or when you're doing like your break fall drills and they'll just break fall right on top of someone else because the person behind them hasn't gotten up yet. And it's like, have some fucking awareness.
Well, that's self-defense 101, situational awareness. And I say the same things. I tell my kids, and I have them when they're all gathered up to watch the technique, I joke around with them. I say, hey, when you're out at the store with your mom or dad, and I start looking up at the ceiling and just walk right through all of them, bumping into all of them. I said, do you walk through the store like that? I said, no, you don't. You look around. I said, it's the same thing when you're grip fighting with your partner now. You need to look around. You need to be aware of your surroundings. And same thing with the adults. Self-defense, it's not about crashing into someone else. You get into a scrap or you get attacked with your wife on the sidewalk by someone comes out of an alley or whatever, comes out of a bar. Are you standing right next to a busy street? Are you standing in front of a fire hydrant that you're about to get pushed into or spiked on top of? You need to be aware of what's around you, what could hurt you, what can help you. Is one of his buddies flanking you?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
That is self-defense 101. And it all starts on the mat.
Well, and everybody knows my take on women's self-defense seminars. Spend 3 hours with me and know how to defend yourself, right? And it's bullshit.
Ready? Hold on. Ready? I'm going to push. For those of you that couldn't see, I just took the corner of my phone and I rubbed it in between his knuckles.
You pushed it into the bony part of the hand. We'll go into that next. But what's more important, I think, for someone that a young female that feels like she needs a self-defense seminar, how about an awareness seminar? That's probably something that's going to be more beneficial to that young lady than learning how to, I don't even know what you can teach someone that would work in 3 hours, but a rear naked choke, for instance. I could teach a rear naked choke, except you'll never get to somebody's back in a real fight.
That's right.
And it's useless.
We talked about that the last time you were down in Louisiana. And I used to do not a self-defense, but I basically used to do like a security awareness class. And I got hired by a bunch of different realtor companies for their realtors to come through it. And it all had to do with situational awareness.
Uh-huh.
And it had to do with actually like just trusting your own instincts. You don't need to be a trained special operations guy. You don't need to be, I don't even know if I should say this I'll just say ASOT. I won't give the acronyms. We won't talk about it. But you don't need to be this highly trained James Bond, Jason Bourne to have instincts, right? That's human nature. Like, something's watching me and you're in the jungle. Well, yeah, you're probably about to get eaten by a fucking lion or something, lions don't live in the jungle. I know that. Don't worry. Well, do they?
They live in the savannah.
Bengal tigers live in the jungle.
That's right. Tigers are in the jungle.
So, you know where I'm going. But, that's human.
Pumas.
Pumas.
And panthers.
Freaking.
And all that other
gorilla.
Shit
That'll eat you. Right. Shit that'll eat you and kill you, right?
Yeah.
But, you don't need to be a Jason Bourne to have instinct and go, man, something's just not right about that dude walking behind me.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what are you going to do? You're just going to bury your head in the sand and continue walking? Or let's confirm. Let's try and either confirm or dispel our suspicion, right?
Yep.
So what do? Cross the street. Cross the street. Now that dude crosses the street. Okay, what does that tell you? Does it tell you for sure that he's coming to attack you?
Nope.
No, but it gives you a little...
Yeah, right. It raises the level of probability.
Yeah, it also rises your no. But yeah, no, it does. It increases the probability that, okay, now I may be onto something.
Yes.
All right. So now what do? Do I duck into a convenience store? Do I get my phone out? Do I start to prep myself for a fight of some sort? And you do these things to kind of confirm or dispel your thoughts, your suspicions. But the problem is the society that we live in now. What if I offend him by crossing the street? I don't want to offend him. Fuck offending him.
Yeah, fuck offending him. And if he's a man, because I actually had a female friend straight up have to do this to someone that's like, hey, get the fuck away from me. You followed me out to my car, and now you're fucking sitting there watching me. Get the fuck away from me. And he got the fuck away from her, right? Now, let's say that it was completely, he had no nefarious intentions, and his car happened to be parked right next to her, or something like that, right? If a young lady said that to me, I wouldn't hurt my feelings.
No, I'm gonna be like, geez, chill out, bitch.
but it's not gonna hurt my feelings. Like, I would actually like that, to see someone willing to just be aggressive and stand up for themselves instead of being fearful.
Right.
I don't know if we talked about this last time, but have you read the book The Gift of Fear?
Is that a Gavin DeBecker book?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Yes.
And I know a lot of people
time ago.
People have mixed feelings on him, but the reality of it is that's a good book.
It's a good book.
And one thing that he talks about, he interviewed a lot of rape victims, and not I got drunk with my ex-boyfriend, not that kind of rape, jumped out of the bushes and snatched you up rape.
And they all knew something. There was some sort of premonition, if I remember correctly.
100% of them. Not a high percentage, not most of them.
A total percentage.
Yeah. 100% of them said right before the attack, something felt off. And so that's the whole title of that book, The Gift of Fear, because feeling afraid is a gift. It's an indicator. It's a survival mechanism built into your psyche and your senses to be able to say, hey, something's not right. And if you're feeling that feeling, it's because something's not right. So listen to it. And that's the whole point of that book is when you feel that feeling, listen to it. And I think people are afraid of, just like you said, afraid of embarrassing themselves, or afraid of calling someone out that maybe doesn't need to be called out, all that shit. No, it's a survival mechanism. But the other thing is fear, the gift of fear is something that you should it should make you happy.
You should embrace it.
You should embrace it. It's not oh fuck, so fear can be a good thing, or fear can be paralyzing. And I think, I don't need to fucking go into this much, because all you have to do is look at the American culture and what's happened over the last 12 to 18 months. But everybody's so afraid of stuff that they just are unwilling to even live their life, right? And so don't allow fear to be something that scares you or incapacitates you. Just use it as a tool. Okay, that emotion just flooded my body. I got some adrenaline coming in. Something seems off. Let's try and look for, like, obviously there's a million different scenarios that you could paint to what the correct answer is, but look for options and then embrace one of those options. And that's what the whole point of feeling that fear is for. And so many people are fucking like, just allow that to consume them, you know?
But so in the words of Andy Stump, let's unpack this a little bit, right? Easier said than done.
Don't use his words on my podcast. Fuck that guy.
So easier said than done, right? I think to utilize that fear appropriately, to not be paralyzed or have your decision making clouded by it, to have that adrenaline dump detract from your capability versus add your capability, it has to be trained. It's a skill set. Just like they do in military training.
100%.
You have to become stress inoculated to that fear. You have to become stress inoculated to that adrenaline dump. And we see it in simple stuff like jiu-jitsu tournaments, competitions.
Yeah.
Right? First tournaments for people.
Tournaments? The first tournaments?
That's my New Jersey accent coming out.
Oh, hold on. See that fucking car passing?
Yes.
You see how they put their tabs on? Or most of you states call them tags.
The Ford Escape?
They put the new year next to the old year and covered up the month.
That's so stupid.
That's one of my fucking pet peeves.
Why would
dude.
they do that?
Bro, I see it every fucking day. It drives me insane.
That's the old cop coming out.
That's the old fucking stupid cop in me.
Damn, man.
But anyways, yeah, jiu-jitsu tournaments.
So you see it in the simplest form. You see it in jiu-jitsu tournaments. People that come out for their very first tournament, their very first match, man, they're nervous, they're fidgety. They get out there, they slap and they bump, and something that they do every single day, they now can't do. And they freeze up and they make grips and they lock up and they're super stiff and they're super tight and they're absolutely exhausted and they don't do the simplest techniques or defenses or attacks that they've been doing for years, months, whatever it may be. And then they finish up and they go, oh my God, I was so nervous, because they're not used to handling that adrenaline dump and they're not processing. And now in what the form that we see that's big in the news right now, that I know is a big topic for you and I in particular, is what we see with law enforcement use of force encounters.
Yeah.
These law enforcement officers have never, even during the academy, have never had true stress inoculation training and experienced that adrenaline dump. And now they're doing it for a first time. And things that should be fairly simple, things that realistically, if you look at it, a lot of times are not that catastrophic to your own safety, they are escalating way up because they cannot process the information appropriately because they're paralyzed by that adrenaline and by that fear.
Yeah. And I mean, it's an ongoing thing that the less you expose yourself to it, the more you're going to start to fall back towards that other direction, right? And a perfect example is I just did a tournament. And it's the first time I competed in, I think, 3 years. And what did that match look like? And it wasn't even, I mean, I never felt afraid, but I just wasn't me out there.
Well, it's not afraid. It's not feeling afraid. Your body doesn't know the difference. So your body's still getting the same adrenaline dump physiologically.
I made crazy grips, and neither one of us could do anything to each other because I could feel he was kind of similar.
Yeah.
You know?
You guys were locked up and just locked up horn to horn.
And that was it. That was the whole match. But, yeah, to inoculate yourself to that kind of stuff, you have to put yourself through scenarios and training. And I mean, we can always go back to jiu-jitsu. Going on the mats day in and day out is a huge tool to start to inoculate yourself to that. Now, you can always elevate it. If you might train jiu-jitsu all the time, but when you go step in the cage for an MMA fight, now that's a new level, right? I don't expect my young ladies that train to be able to be cage fighters next weekend. But I do say, if some guy grabs them in a parking lot or in a dark alley, there's still going to be a huge fear response, but nowhere near what it would be if they hadn't been training jiu-jitsu for the last 2 years.
100%.
Consistently.
How many new students do you have come in, whether they admit it or not, and they go, man, I'm so nervous coming in here.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to come in here weeks ago,
Yep.
but I keep talking myself out of it. Grown men, it's nerve-wracking. You go in there, you overcome a little bit of that fear. Class 1. Class 2, you're more nervous now because you know what to expect. You're like, holy shit, those guys are monsters, and that was hard, and I was sweating, and I was tired, and I felt like a fish out of water. But you suck it up and you go and you overcome that fear, and every time you get a little bit more brave. You know, same thing. I tell a story, my first deployment to Iraq, Baghdad. First night I get there, sitting in my little wet chew, right? My little container that I lived in.
Did you call it a wet chew?
I did.
Okay.
Because we had our own bathroom attached to it, so it was wet.
Got it.
Right? So started hearing rockets come in. First night in Iraq, dude. Never deployed overseas before. I don't really count my Haiti deployment, although we had a little bit of fun there too. But first time, let's put it this way, first time I've ever been rocketed.
Yeah, first time in a no shit combat zone.
And I was like, holy shit, what do I do? Where do I go? I saw bunkers. I don't know. Fuck. You know, by like day 4 even, I was sleeping through that shit.
Yeah.
You know, like not even waking up. I'd put my pillow over my head and roll over. God damn it, fucking rockets again.
Yep.
You know, whatever.
No, it's bizarre because that was the same thing in Fallujah and Ramadi and all of those hot cities back in those days. You were rocketed, mortared daily, without fail.
Oh, daily. Twice a day.
And it got to the point, and it wasn't just the rockets. You go out in the city and guys are shooting AKs at you. Your car's getting shot with RPGs, IEDs, like all day, every day. Someone is trying to kill you in some capacity. And, you know, it's funny. A lot of guys, you always hear stuff about PTS and post-traumatic stress from those experiences. I honestly think feeling like I was going to be killed for years on end has made me more in touch with myself, because I realized I'm going to fucking die on this deployment. Most of my deployments to Iraq, until I went to Erbil, because that doesn't even really count as Iraq, but most of my deployments I was like, this has to be the one that gets me. You can't be exposed to that much stuff and make it out of here. It's just a rule of percentages. So every time I went back over, my number was more likely to come up, right? And it got to the point where I didn't care anymore, because it's like, okay, now it's not, I'm probably going to get it. I'm definitely getting it on this deployment.
You just come to terms with it, and it's not tough sounding, you know?
No. It's the opposite of tough sounding.
It's you're inoculated to it. Day in and day out, you're inoculated to it.
It's just straight a logical conclusion that you draw. Man, this stuff is happening every single day. Sooner or later, I'm going to get it. But the bizarre thing about it is, once you come to that conclusion, it's actually peaceful. It's actually peaceful, because now it's like, okay, it's not if, it's when. So I'm just going to live. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to be a good teammate. I'm going to have courage. I'm going to do good by the people that are counting on me. And all the things that make you a good operator, I feel like are easy to do once you put your own preservation on the back burner. Now, does that mean stand up on rooftops and just be a reckless motherfucker? No.
Sometimes.
Yeah, bro, we've all been there, right?
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does. And I mean, I've seen it to the point where guys, it's almost like they're trying to kill themselves, how reckless they're being in combat.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting mindset that people find themselves in. But dude, it's carried over, both of us to this day. Like, if I have to go fight a lion in a savanna, not a jungle, that's attacking one of my daughters, got it, let's go. And you're gonna rip my throat out, and that's the end of Greg Anderson. I don't care.
Maybe you save your daughter.
Maybe I save my daughter. Eat me instead of her.
I had that conversation. I've told you that about my conversation with my kid's principal, right?
Tell it again.
So my kid's principal knows about my background, knows what I do. And he called me in one day and said, hey, man, will you come take a look at the school? We're looking at instituting some new security policies. I want to get your take on it, walk you around the school, and get your thoughts. So he starts walking me around. We're talking about a lot of active shooter stuff, right? And they're doing a really good job. One thing that we've gotten pretty good at here in the U.S. is responding to and addressing active shooters, which active shooters, the massive, massive, massive percentage is a lone gunman, a single shooter, right?
Yep.
Hastily planned, crime of rage, typically, or mental illness, and they don't typically stick around and fight.
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
And I told him, I said, that's all well and good. You guys are doing great. That's not my concern. My concern is a coordinated attack on our soil against our school systems by a terrorist force. And I say that because we've, over the years have recovered intelligence that has shown that they've looked in the past to do that style of attack here in the U.S. And I explained to him what the difference was. I said, what you're going to be looking at is you're going to be looking at a larger force, probably 5 to 7 people at a minimum. They're going to be more well-armed. They're going to be coordinated. They're going to come in. They're probably going to kill you or the person that they think is in charge immediately. And then they're going to start barricading all the doors. And they're going to consolidate all of these students into one large area, usually probably auditorium. Look at Beslan, right? That's what they did in Beslan.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, the key to stopping this, it's not about saving people. It's not about keeping people from dying. It's about how many people do you want to die? Because they're going to come, they're going to barricade all the doors. They're going to, basically booby trap, put IEDs on all the doors. And then they're going to gather up all the students. And they're probably going to, barricade that room with IEDs, explosive devices. And their goal is to kill and make a statement, as many people as they can. And I said, the only thing you can do is the most rapid response. And I said, if you call 911 and tell them it's going to go through the dispatcher, it's going to just get dispatched to a patrol officer is going to show up and read the scene and stay on the perimeter and wait for other officers and wait for a SWAT team and yada, yada, yada. And now you're talking about an hour.
Yeah.
Right? Meanwhile, now all the students are consolidated. Everyone's going to die. He goes, well, man, dude, you're terrifying me. He's like, this is not what I expected you to tell me. You're terrifying me. What do I do, man? And this sounds pretty arrogant and cocky of me, but keep in mind, I'm more or less a stay-at-home dad. My academy is literally right around the corner from my kid's school.
He said, call me.
And that's what I said. I said, no joke. And I said, I don't want this to come off the wrong way. And I'm not trying to sound tough. I said, you and the other principal, right? Principal, vice principal. I'm not going to mention their names. I said, put my number 1 speed dial. And if you think this is occurring, if you see this, immediately one of you call me. Immediately. Someone else, go through your protocols, call the police, call 911, do all that, but immediately call me. Because the difference is I'm going to jump in my truck and I'm going to drive over here and I'm going to drive my truck right through the fucking front doors before they can gain a foothold. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start killing motherfuckers. And
is that how you articulated it?
That's exactly like verbatim. And I said, again, I'm not trying to sound tough. I'm just trying to relay my motivation is different. My kids are here.
Yeah. Yep. I've thought about that. Like, if my kids are in a school that's locked down, you're not stopping me.
No, fuck no. And I said, you know what?
And if you do, now we're having a fucking 3-way shootout. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Fuck you.
Yeah. And I told him, I said, I'm coming in here with the onus that I'm going to die.
Yep.
Right? I will not. So I'm getting fucking worked up. I will not survive this attack, but I may delay them from getting a foothold long enough to get law enforcement in here so that all the kids in the school don't die.
Yeah.
And he was like, holy shit. Definitely opened his mind up to something that he was not aware of. But yeah, anyway, I don't know how we got on all that.
Well, we're just driving home. So
yeah, fuck yeah.
We're just talking shit for the next 5 hours.
But, again, just, utilizing fear, understanding fear, making sure that it doesn't paralyze you, the more you're inoculated to fear, the more you can clearly think through things. And you'd be amazed at what the human brain and the human body can become accustomed to. You know, the first time I ever went skydiving, I went through the accelerated free fall program. And after you do your classroom stuff and all that stuff, you know, you do a ground brief. And they've got like a little like doorway mock-up of the airplane, right? And you stand in the doorway mock-up and you do a dry run where you link up with your instructors and you jump out the door and you land on the ground. And he's got a map and he's like, all right, when we leave the bird, when we go out the door, you know, I want you to look at the airplane and arch and look up at the airplane. He's like, all right, and then we're gonna level off and I want you to check your altimeter and then I want you to look at the ground. And he's got a map, aerial view of the map, and you got the highway and you got the DZ and the runway and you got a lake here. He's like, I want you to get your bearings, right? And then you're gonna look at me and you're gonna give me thumbs up and you're gonna check your altimeter. And we're going through all this. Bro, I jumped out that airplane. I didn't see shit. I jumped out of a massive Super Twin Otter, right? It's a big airplane, dude. Side door exit, and I did not see anything. I didn't see an airplane. I didn't see the ground. All I saw was my altimeter. That is it, dude. That's all I saw was that big ass altimeter on my wrist. And we get down on the ground. He's like, all right, so how'd it go? You know, I was like, dude, I didn't see anything, bro. I saw my altimeter. That is the only thing, that big white bubble on my wrist. All right, cool. Next time, again, jump, same thing, same brief. You're going to look at the airplane. You're going to look at the ground. You're going to get your, you know, you're going to get your bearing. And then now this time we're going to do a 90-degree right turn. All right, 90 degrees. Okay, cool. Dude, jumped out. Where's the airplane? Didn't see anything. Didn't see anything, bro. Saw the altimeter. Third jump up there. Leave the door, side exit. Arch. Oh my God, there's a giant airplane right there as it's drifting away. Holy shit. All right, cool. Now I saw the airplane, right? Next jump. Oh, there's the airplane. Okay. Whoa, there's the lake he was talking about. But each jump, you know, you're taking it more because your body's getting used to that adrenaline dump, that stress.
Yeah.
You can process it better, and then you can start actually functioning. You know, until then you're leaving an airplane, you're freaking Superman jumping out of it, and you're tracking and you're linking, you know. But that's just, again, it's, you get adjusted and used to that adrenaline dump, to that fear.
Are you going to skydive ever again?
I'm not going to say no. I loved it. It was fucking awesome. But in my current life, I don't have the time to stay current. And I just don't have the time and money, man. You know? I got other priorities.
The regiment ruined jumping out of airplanes for me.
That was static lines.
Stupid
stuff. PLF fucking
static lines.
Your spine.
Static lines on T10 Charlies, and I want nothing to do with that ever again. And I did a civilian jump when I got out just to see, and I realized like, nope, I just don't enjoy this. Jumping out of airplanes in the military, unless you're like a free fall instructor and you get to just go up and jump all day and have fun. But as any type of training operation, you have so much gear strapped to you. You don't even jump out of the plane. You fall out of the plane and you hit the ground like a sack of shit. Everything hurts.
If you hit the ground, not trees.
Yeah. I've landed in trees. I've landed in water. It's just a shit show. And dudes get hurt all the time. So you know, like, okay, you're sitting in the bird and it's blacked out. And sometimes it's like a 6-hour ride where they're simulating a very, very long flight, even though you took off from McCord Air Force Base and you're jumping onto Fort Lewis. And as the crow flies, it's 1.5 miles. But you're in the bird for 6 hours. Everybody's ready to piss their pants, and sometimes guys do. And that's actually the sixth point of performance is after you're done with your jump, you roll over and you piss. And they stripped all the fun out of it. And the military always has a way of stripping all the fun out of stuff. So I'll be done jumping.
Yeah, no more jumping. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. The DZ that I jumped at and went to school through, that was close to my house, has since closed down. So they're not there anymore. But again, I don't have time, and it's not something you can just go up and do like once a year. You know, you got to stay current, and so it is what it is.
I think it's a good segue to talk about some training stuff, because we're talking about utilizing training to get yourself out of that fight or flight state response and being able to be more calm and calculated. But again, not all training is equal, right? So if you're putting yourself through the wrong training, then guess what? It's not going to be as applicable as putting yourself through the correct training. And we've seen some goofy ass shit going on.
Beyond goofy. Goofy doesn't even begin to describe it.
Well, let's talk about dust first.
Detroit urban survival training tactics, something like that.
Training, I think. Detroit urban survival training.
So, dude, I'm still not convinced that he's not the fucking master of all trolls and he's trolling the fuck out of us. I'm still not convinced. That's stupid.
If you're listening and you have an Instagram, please go to Detroit Urban Survival Training and see the videos that this guy is putting out.
But please do me a favor, go look at it, but don't fucking follow him. Don't placate that stupid motherfucker.
Why? Because he has 7,000 followers and you only have 1,000?
Dude, I don't even have 1,000 followers. I'm at like 450 now because I just started my Instagram.
But it's weapon takeaways, it's cell phone strikes, on and on and on. If someone's sitting behind you in your car with a gun to your head, this is what you do. And it's just the biggest bunch of bullshit that you've ever watched. But like Lapin said, was it last night, you're like, he's gonna fucking like play this Instagram page up for a year, and then the next post is gonna be him with Mike Glover, and they're gonna be laughing.
I'm really hoping so. I really hope he's fucking. It would be the master of all skits.
Troll of all trolls. Come to find out, he's actually super high speed.
Fucking retired sergeant major from the unit or something. And fucking guys, I've been fucking with you for the last year. I mean, literally, go look at him because like the dude's wearing like a Space Force suit. He's wearing a fucking like old school 511 vest, but the patches that are on it are like fucking look like something you would see out of fucking Space Force.
And a clip-on like name tag.
That's right, name tag.
Well, it's not just like a name tag; it's like an access badge.
Access card.
Yeah, it's an access card.
The little fucking earpiece that he's wearing, and like he's got fingerless gloves, you know.
And he has his super watch.
A real super watch.
A real super watch right here.
And like in the background, everything's like stainless steel, and I mean, it's fucking ridiculous.
Bunch of airsoft weapons hanging on the wall. Okay, so he's a goon and it's fun to watch, right? And if you go take that stuff, then you're a fucking idiot, and that's on you. But something that we also saw yesterday, which is is 1,000 times as concerning, is a police department is now going to implement shoot to incapacitate. And we watched a short video where they're on the range. They have new targets that have arms and legs identified as a specific targeting zone.
Green zone.
Yeah. And then the like
groin is yellow. Like it's like basically for law enforcement guys, this looks like a less than lethal target. So yeah, like Greg was saying, arms and legs are green. Right? Your groin is yellow, like that's a middle groin, and pelvis and stomach is yellow. Thoracic cavity, so chest, torso area, and head are red zones.
And so what this trainer was saying, and he was immediately apparent that he was a fucking moron because he was just kind of fat and dumpy and stupid. And anytime the agency has a fat, dumpy, stupid guy as their trainer,
all credibility goes right out the fucking window. All credibility is
out the window. And that's not a dig at the Port of Seattle. Or is it? And this guy's like, oh, well, we've decided to give our officers the option to shoot to incapacitate instead of you going right to deadly force. And this is what these fucking people don't realize. You're not shooting somebody
to kill them.
But you're not shooting somebody until what has been met. The threat to fucking a deadly threat to yourself or others, or grave bodily injury,
But here's
life of limb or eyesight. Like there's serious consequences about to take place if I don't stop this person now.
And here's the key word, though, that's in all that: imminent.
Yes.
Right? All the use of force for deadly force, you'll hear imminent threat, grave bodily.
It's right now.
Fucking immediate.
It's going down, right? And so he's like, we're giving them the option. And so he had this fucking whistle in his mouth, and he's like, incapacitate. And then he's like, on the whistle, your incapacitation shots were not effective. Time to move to thoracic shots. And it's like, okay, now let's talk about how that fucking transpired in a gunfight. Someone's raising a pistol up to you, and I'm going to try and shoot him in the knee to drop them, and now I'm fucking dead. That's it, dude.
If you can take the time to effectively and accurately shoot someone only in an arm or a leg, then the requirement for deadly force
Has not been met.
has not been met.
Yeah, it is not imminent.
You know?
Like if you're a fucking sniper and you have fucking time and distance and cover and concealment and you're not in any threat, like you could paint a scenario, right? We could all paint that scenario. My buddy shot a guy in the elbow because he was ducked behind a corner,
And
right?
that's all he saw.
And that's all he saw. Like that stuff happens, right? But to add that into the training program, I see two major problems with it. The first one is you're now going to you're going to make officers think, okay, well, it's a deadly force scenario, but just to appease everybody and maybe they just fall back on their training, right? I'm gonna try and take a leg shot, right? And now you're gonna find that, oh, that actually didn't work.
And that officer's dead now.
And that officer's fucking dead now. The other thing that I think is going to be very problematic as a result of this is we're going to see civil lawsuits where it's like, well, my son didn't get the opportunity. He didn't get shot to incapacitate him, right? Or they'll say, my son was shot. They were shooting my son to incapacitate him, and it hit him in the femur, and it killed him. And now he's dead. And this department wasn't trying to kill him. So now it's a wrongful death lawsuit. It's just a bunch of bullshit.
And I think it's gonna lead, if this ever took off, which I fucking pray that it doesn't.
But bro, it's not that it's taking off or it's not taking off. It's happening. This department is doing it, you know?
I think you'll see officers actually shoot people more.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's going to, because they feel like that's what they can fall back to.
If I could just shoot to incapacitate, because guess what? A taser is used to incapacitate. A baton is used to incapacitate. OC is used to incapacitate. Oh, now I can shoot him too. So that's a good question, or that's a good point. You're now interjecting a firearm into less than lethal scenarios? Is that what they're suggesting?
That's basically kind of what it sounds like. Now, and here's the other part too. Someone is trying to hit a leg or an arm on a moving person under stress, which we all know how ridiculous that is and how difficult that is to do. And they're aiming for a small target and they miss and they hit Granny Smith making her apple pies in the background. And now they just fucking killed Granny. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It is rife with just fucking problems. And the fact that command at this agency
Blessed off on this.
They
should everyone should be fired in that
Fired
command.
immediately. Absolve that entire, if you're the mayor of this town, you should get rid of that entire police department
And have the sheriff's
and let
office,
the sheriff's office
absorb
take
it.
over.
100%, dude. And that happens all the time. I've seen that happen plenty of times. And I'm not saying it's because somebody fucked up. Sometimes it's budget, sometimes it's manpower. But that's a regular occurrence. So that's our request. And that's our demand. We want our demands.
We want our demands
to be met. Absolve that fucking police department into the sheriff's office.
Or we will taunt you a second time. Little Monty Python reference for you.
That's actually one of my kids' or that's Mike. I can't even fucking talk right now. That's
you're
my
driving
kids'
and-
favorite movie. One of their favorite movies.
I love that movie. I grew up on it.
Yeah. If you haven't grown up on it, your parents are communists.
But yeah, I mean, that's just it's bad. You know, here's the thing, and this will take us into the choke segue as well.
Yeah.
The people that are making the decisions on use of force, what is deadly force, what is effective, efficient, reliable, tactically sound techniques, tactics, procedures, TTPs, don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And they are not expert. They're far from subject matter experts. And these decisions are being made out of sheer emotion
100%.
and media and just falseness, right? And it's the same
Just
thing with
public
the choke.
pressure.
Yeah, public pressure. And it's the same thing with the chokes, right?
Let me get that Red Bull.
You want the, ooh, here we go. Little shout out.
Red Bull, shout out.
So, you know, obviously the big thing right now is police officers can't choke anybody unless it is a deadly force situation, which is fucking absurd. It is fucking absurd because anybody who knows anything about how to, you want me to steer for you?
No,
bro?
I got it, dude.
Here, I'll hold your microphone.
Hey, just because I spilled all over myself doesn't mean I don't got this, okay? I got this.
Hey folks, safety first.
I literally
all right?
just spilled all over myself.
Safety first. We don't recommend podcasting and drinking Red Bull while driving 85 miles an hour.
But
on the interstate.
if you listen right now, you can hear the mic rattling a little bit, and when I hold it,
it doesn't rattle.
it goes silent. So you guys are gonna have to listen to rattling while I'm drinking this delicious Red Bull.
But you know, so a lot of the stuff with these chokes is ridiculous, and it was made without the proper information. It was not based on science. Let's say that, right? Like a lot of stuff going on right now. But you have now taken away a technique and a tool that is probably the safest and least damaging technique, not just to the officer, but to the suspect as well. All right?
More safe for the suspect.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. More safe than anything else.
I mean, I posted it on my Instagram. I got choked unconscious last week. Guess what? In 15 seconds, I was completely fine. And that doesn't happen to me very often at jiu-jitsu because I actually tap out when someone's on my neck. But every once in a while, someone will squeeze your neck in a way that doesn't feel like it's tight. And that's because it's good technique. And boom, you're out.
Well, that's the thing. They tout these chokes. They tout, you know, you've heard it as lateral vascular neck restraint, the LVNR, rear naked choke, vascular neck restraints, right? The idea is you're basically cutting off the carotid artery, which temporarily interrupts the blood flow. Are you here? Are we losing audio?
Yeah, what's going on? Check and see if we're still recording.
It's still red.
You know what I think it is? I think we went onto this really smooth pavement.
And we're not getting all the background noise.
And yeah, so when we're not talking,
It's super quiet.
it's super quiet. It's kind of weird.
It is kind of weird. So you're temporarily interrupting the blood flow to the brain, which makes them go unconscious, right? The second you loosen up or open up, blood starts flowing back to the brain and they regain consciousness. And literally, they just like basically fall asleep. And they're touting this as this killer. It's a killer. It's killing people. If it was so dangerous, if it was not even so dangerous, if it was mildly dangerous, if it mildly led to death, you and me would not have a business.
Fuck
there would
no,
be
dude.
there would be no jiu-jitsu academies in the U.S. Dana White would not be a multi fucking millionaire from the UFC. UFC would be rife with lawsuits and would fail to exist if this rear naked choke was so dangerous.
Bro, I watch 10-year-olds do it to each other every fucking day.
Dude, any night you walk in my academy, 40 people on the mat choking the shit out of each other.
It'd be cool to run some statistics because the average jiu-jitsu academy, let's say they have 100 members. How many jiu-jitsu academies are in America? Let's just talk numbers. And then show me the person that's died from a rear naked choke. Show me that person.
I've not heard of one case.
Like the most severe jiu-jitsu injuries I've heard of are spinal injuries.
Right.
And even that is like, I think I've heard about it like once or twice and I've been doing jiu-jitsu since
Spinal and
2004.
neck. And that has nothing to do with chokes, by the way.
No, nothing
That has
at all.
to do with wrestling and takedowns and getting your back twisted or your neck spiked. Has nothing to do with chokes. Thus, the choke is really the safest technique. And the fact that someone's not actually like going into the science behind it and standing up for this, and they just ban them. It's dangerous. It kills people. No, it fucking doesn't. You know what kills people? People that are fucking in horrible health, hopped up on fucking a whole bunch of hardcore drugs that aren't used to fighting, and now they're fighting at a high level with a super high heart rate, and they die from it.
But let's say, let's just say there's a scenario where an officer did choke the shit out of someone and fucking kill them. Let's say that the autopsy determined
that's what killed him?
That's what killed George Floyd, is that pressure to the neck for a prolonged period of time killed him. Let's just say that to play devil's advocate. Guess what also has happened many times throughout history? Police officers have shot people that shouldn't have been shot. So do we take away guns from every single cop in America because some fucking goon misused his authority and his power? Does that make any fucking sense to anybody? Because one guy did something that everybody perceived as procedurally incorrect. Now we got fucking no cops able to use chokes anymore. I just can't wrap my fucking head around that concept, dude.
No, it's ridiculous. And even in Louisiana, a lot of our agencies now are banning chokes, banning the LVNR unless it's a lethal force encounter. Well, guess what? If it's a lethal force encounter, if I'm on your back and I have the ability to choke you, it's not a lethal force encounter anymore.
Yeah.
If I've got your back, unless you've got a buddy running in to club me in the fucking head. And guess what? I'm going to guns while I'm short choking you with one arm.
Yeah.
I'm going to guns with my other arm, and I'm going to shoot the guy that's fucking running at me.
No, I mean, and I've talked about this on the show before, is that let's have these public officials, these city council people, like whoever is pushing this agenda that no chokes, just come into the training scenario with us and say, okay, I'm going to play Officer Anderson. You're a fucking felony car theft suspect that I've been chasing, and I'm catching up with you, and now we're meeting face to face.
I've got you cornered in an alley. Would you rather me beat your fucking face in with my fists?
Okay, yeah.
Or just put you to sleep?
I'm taking you into custody with one of these 4 tools. I get to tase you, I get to baton you, I get to OC spray you, or I get to use my jiu-jitsu. As a training scenario, you pick. Or I'll tell you what, we're going to do all 4, because guess what? I've done all 4.
That's right. And then you decide which you like better.
And then you decide, right? And we're going to do one, and then we're going to give you a week before you do the next one. That way you can feel what recovering feels like. And I'll tell you, as an athlete, being tased fucked me up for a couple days.
Dude, I still fucking fear that thing, dude.
And like people, I couldn't walk after I was tased. Everybody's seen my quads on Instagram yesterday. Like, what the fuck, dude? You look like a goddamn horse. Like, that's the only thing I got going for me. I got big quads. But bro, my big quads seized up so fucking tight that I couldn't walk after I fucking was tased. Being tased sucks.
Well, not to interrupt you, but when you were tased, were you held on either side by an officer?
Both sides,
Why?
yeah.
Why?
So I didn't smash my fucking teeth out.
So you didn't smash your fucking teeth out.
Yep.
So on the street, when officers tase people, you know what happens after they get tased?
Yeah.
If it's a good tase,
They smash their teeth out.
they fall onto the concrete head first without being able to catch themselves with their hands. And they fucking smash their skull on the concrete or their face on the concrete, right? And God forbid they actually hit an object like a curb or something.
Yeah.
Like way, way, way fucking worse.
And now let's talk about being OC'd, because I've been OC'd twice. And I'll tell you what, I'll take being OC'd 30 days in a row before I'd take being tased again. And some people feel the opposite of that. I've had this argument with officers, and maybe it's just like how our bodies react to it. But OC fucking sucks. And it like, it literally feels like there's fire inside your eyes, right? But the reason that it doesn't bother me as much as being tased, because it's isolated to one part of your body. So, okay, my eyes are in fucking pain right now, but I can still fight you. I can still run from you.
And I've never seen OC really work. Now you're just fighting a guy and getting that shit all on yourself and your eyes too.
And so, but it does suck. I'm not saying it doesn't suck. But
it's not effective.
But once you're done with the training scenario, and I've only done this twice, where it's like they spray you, and now you have to take someone into custody, and then you have to apply handcuffs and like go through some training requirements. Then when training's over, you go into the locker room, and you're fucking dipping your head in soapy water, and you're fucking spraying your eyes, and it takes a while before you feel good again. And I don't even, I mean, it's been a while. I don't know how long it took if I had to give you a timeline. But you're not back to normal within an hour.
No, and then you go home at the end of the day and you shower and all that shit reactivates and runs down into your dick and then sets your dick on fire.
Yeah. And so, again, do you want to be sprayed in the face with OC, or do you want me to choke you with a fucking rear naked choke? It's a very simple answer. And no one's being honest with themselves. And then the last one, like baton, and I didn't. I'm trying to remember. I had to carry 2 less than lethals with my last department. So yeah, I carried fucking taser, which I hate because it was a requirement, and then I carried a small thing of OC just to meet the
requirement,
the policy requirement. Because I used to listen to my policy before I went rogue. And dude. I didn't carry a baton because a baton is like a knife. A baton is like a gun. A baton is a tool. If you don't train with that tool and you don't know how to use it and how to apply it, I feel like it's just a fucking liability, right? But with that said, I've trained Muay Thai a lot. I know what it feels like to get fucking whacked in the leg really hard by guys that know how to apply the right kind of force and pressure with their kicks. Dude, you get hit in the leg, right? You don't walk right for days. So you want to fucking feel that, or do you want to just take a quick nap and be done with? You said you read President Trump was on board with banning that, huh?
Well, so
that makes me fucking sad to hear.
So after the whole thing with George Floyd, I was doing a little bit of research. There was an executive order signed by President Trump, and part of it was banning the LVNR, the chokes, basically, for other than lethal force, right? But what's scary is that...
And is that for federal agencies? I mean,
I don't know exactly.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't get into the weeds of it. But the scary thing is now they're talking about actually trying to institute legislature to really ban chokes for law enforcement. And that could not be more scary, that they're taking away, honestly, the safest tool to put bad people into custody without harming them. And like anything, if you actually trained your officers properly and train them in grappling and in jiu-jitsu and in how to properly apply these chokes, and they're not doing what they only watched on TV or YouTube, then they would be doing it correctly, and it would be a lot safer for everybody. But no, let's not do that. Let's not actually train our law enforcement officers. Let's just take shit away from them so that they only can rely on their tools, and now they're going to either get beat to death or they're going to shoot and really hurt people. I put a call in last week to one of our senators who lives in the area that I live in, and I'm still waiting to hear back from his staff and from himself. But I'm inviting him to once a week. I do a free law enforcement class every week, and you have to be active law enforcement to show up.
And for people that haven't listened to the other Greg and Greg podcasts, you're also still an active duty sheriff with your local county.
Yes, yeah, I'm still active duty sheriff's deputy, and I want them to come see it. I want them to see what jiu-jitsu is, what we're actually teaching these officers, what we're actually using, you know? And if they want to come on the mat and experience it, I want to educate them so they can actually speak intelligently about this stuff. No, chokes are bad. Chokes are bad. No, bullshit. Hey, look, I got invited down to a local jiu-jitsu academy that's run by a law enforcement officer, and there were a dozen or more law enforcement officers on the mat, and they were teaching the choke in a manner that made sense and explained the physiology of it. And then they choked each other over and over again for an hour. And guess what? They're all smiling. They're all happy. They're all about their wits. They're all perfectly fine. You know, and trying to educate these people. So, you know, we've got to have someone arguing on behalf of the tools.
Look at that coyote right there.
Coyote staring at the highway. He looked happy.
He did.
But, you know, we've got to educate these folks. And someone's got to fight.
Yeah, dude, it's just, it continues to reassure me that I think I got out of the profession at the right time. Because I just couldn't, I don't know how all you guys out there continue to have all of your abilities to ensure that you go home to your family safely at night, stripped away, one by one by one. You can't... You have to just have Molotov cocktails thrown at you. You have to have bricks thrown at you. They're lighting your patrol cars on fire. You can't do this. You can't do that. And now you can't use chokes. And it's like, okay, am I just a whipping boy? I'm just supposed to be thrown into the fray and not address anything with any type of force. And the thing about it is use of force, yes, there is a use of force continuum, but it's not supposed to be an equal playing field. Right?
No, we are, at least when I went through the academy, we were allowed to go one level force higher than what we were receiving.
Because I'm not here to have a fair fight. I have fair fights every single night in training, right? When I'm out on the street, I don't want it to be a fair fight. I want it to be as unfair as possible, and I want the fucking advantage to go to me.
100%. What was the old saying? If you find yourself in a fair fight, your tactics suck.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like I had some of my 3rd Battalion buddies, 3rd Ranger Battalion, when they took the Haditha Dam in Iraq, and this was in 2003 in the beginning. And man, I'm so jealous. I never got to do any of these like super badass missions like that. Have you heard about the Haditha Dam?
Oh yeah.
So when they took the Haditha Dam, they said that the fucking Iraqis like tried to amass a counterforce and retake the dam. But what they didn't realize is there's a company of Rangers sitting on top of it with night vision goggles and infrared lasers, and it was nighttime. And he's like, it was literally like playing a video game, that you were at zero risk of being fucking injured or killed. Meanwhile, we smoked every single one of them as they were assaulting up the dam.
Fish in a barrel.
And that's exactly, dude, if you want combat to fucking be a perfect case scenario, your tools, your tactics, your capabilities are so far in advance to your enemy, feels like a fucking video game. Good. Fuck those guys, you know? Man, that coyote got me thinking. A lot of my buddies like to shoot coyotes.
Yeah.
Do you like to shoot coyotes?
I don't, man. I'm
kind of, I'm an animal guy.
I'm an animal guy too.
And they're like dogs, man. And I know there's probably people listening like, oh, he's a fucking bitch, dude, fucking coyote. But here's the thing. If you're a rancher or whatever and they're fucking with your chickens or your livestock, like, I get it.
There's a purpose behind
I get it. Yeah, go shoot those things. If it's messing up your livelihood, cool. But I got buddies that go hunt coyotes and shoot them for sport.
Same thing, prairie dog. You know, like when you got people going out and like I get it
because it's hurt. That's fucking up their horses.
Well, yeah, but like I know guys that just go out. For me, I don't mind hunting. I don't mind killing an animal if there's a purpose behind it, and if I'm going to take that meat, use that meat,
yes,
etc., feed my family. But I've lost a taste for just shooting things just to shoot things. I don't know.
Bro, I've never had a taste for shooting things just to shoot them.
Yeah, I guess that's a better way. I've never had
other than human beings.
Yeah, well, bad ones.
Of course, bad ones. No, but I'm saying like, anytime you kill an animal, like I don't kill. Even I went fishing last weekend. I caught 2 monster lingcod. Right when I club them in the head, I don't get like a sense of joy out of that.
No.
I get a sense of I'm filling my freezer with meat, right? And I mean, it's exciting to harvest an animal because there's something that's primal that your body feels. But for me, it's never been enjoyment. And I mean, I've talked about hunting quite a bit on the show. I'm not a hunter. I can't consider myself a hunter even though I go hunting because I haven't killed any fucking large game animal yet. But I already know I don't think the emotions that I'm going to feel when I harvest my first elk or my first deer are going to be good.
No.
I don't think I'm going to enjoy that at all.
No, it's somber.
Yeah.
You know, to me, it's somber. But again, you know, it's like if it's for a purpose, okay, I can get behind it.
Well, I look at it like this. If I sat down at Seasons yesterday, which is a fucking awesome restaurant in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and had a hamburger, right? So if I'm willing to make that kind of choice in the food that I want to eat, I have to be willing to harvest animals, right? Like, you don't get to just put blinders on and pretend that meat came from a fucking
grocery store,
meat factory.
Yeah.
Like, that came from an animal, and if that's the lifestyle choice that you want to live, I just think you have to be emotionally capable of harvesting that animal. And it's weird that a lot of people probably aren't.
Well, and that's one of the reasons, like for my kids, if my kids, as they grow up, they want to go hunting, I'll take them hunting. But they need to know, you know, I've taken them already at 9 and 6. They've already been on a pig hunt. And then we took that pig and we processed it and we ate that pig. You know, we go fishing, we catch the fish, we bring it home, we clean it, fillet it, we eat that fish. They need to understand that the chicken breast that we're eating for dinner didn't just come packaged up in the grocery store. It's an actual chicken.
Yeah.
You know, the steak isn't just, oh, it's a steak. My kids are bougie too. They like filet mignon, little bastards. But you know, they need to know that, hey, that's a cow that sacrificed its life so we could eat meat. You know, and to me, that's important that they respect that. You know, the food chain, if you will.
Yeah, and I also think, I mean, I know that I might sound like a doomsday prepper, but I just think the potential for us to find ourselves, our friends, our family in a scenario at some point in the future where we do have to harvest our own meat, where we do have to grow our own food, and we have to be more connected to like a primitive lifestyle that our ancestors lived. I think there's a probability that could happen. And so you don't want to get thrown into that environment and never have experienced that before, or don't know how to hunt or how to fish or any of that stuff.
Right.
Like,
what was the one word I was using as every answer for you the other night?
Capability.
Capability, right?
Yeah, capability. So check this out. We're on I-90 westbound, and we drove over on 2, so you didn't see this. But we're driving into the Columbia River Basin right now.
It's awesome.
And it's fucking cool, huh?
Fucking cliffs going straight down into the Columbia River. That's the Columbia River?
That's the Columbia River. We're going to drive over it right there. You see the bridge across it.
Yeah, that's badass.
And yeah, it's the biggest river in Washington. And this is the Columbia River is the border between Oregon and Washington. So yeah, it's fucking rad.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, we've talked about capabilities a lot, and man, again, it's a balance, right? I don't want to just have my whole life consumed with what if this, what if that, what if this. But I think the right approach, it's why I love Mike Glover so much. He is focused on capabilities, but he's focused on capabilities from like a place of enjoyment and love.
Lifestyle.
And he has fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And him and his friends go out and they partake in these different events or hunts or fucking overland vehicle movements, all the stuff that you do too, you know? And it's just a good time while simultaneously preparing yourself to have to do those things if that scenario were to ever present itself.
And that's what I think, you know, and I tell people all the time, and, you know, you and I have talked about this, and I know you feel the same way, but if you want true capability, all this stuff has to be recent. You have to have recency built into your training. You know, you can't go shoot one time a year and think you're going to be good at shooting. Mm-hmm. You can't go train jiu-jitsu one time a year and think you're going to be able to defend yourself. You can't go off-roading or camping or overlanding one time a year and think that you've got all your gear dialed in and you know how to, you know, do all this stuff. It's got to be kind of built into your lifestyle. And I'm the same way. You know, I'm not a prepper. I don't, I don't wake up every morning and go, oh, this is what I have to do. I build this all into my lifestyle, and that's what I do for fun. Yeah, overlanding. I've got a rig that's mildly built out to basically be self-recoverable, and I can take it in just about any terrain that I would need to go on, and I can do it by myself. And I've got the skill set and the training and the tools that if I get stuck, I know how to get unstuck by myself, and that's what I do for fun. I take the kids out, we go out into the woods for a few days, we get away, we get far, far away from people, and we camp out, we build fires, and, teach the kids about land nav and all that stuff.
Yeah, that sounds fucking awesome. And that's one thing that I'm lacking in.
We're not for long. We're going to get you there, man.
You're going to get my 4Runner ready to go.
We're going to get this 4Runner ready to go. We're going to get those Predator steps off the sides.
I like those, though. They look cool.
I know you do, but we're going to get you something that's functional and builds capability.
So, funny story. Was it yesterday? Because you busted my balls on those Predator steps the second you saw them. And then yesterday, I was trying to get to a coffee stand, and I tried to cut through a parking lot.
We did a little off-roading.
And there was a curb and like a little section of gravel where there was no road that went through. So I was like,
concrete block.
Well, we're just going to go right over this. And wham, the fucking Predator step hit the concrete. And that's like the first thing you said, like, see, your step just hit that piece of concrete.
But yeah, I mean, you talk about...
Bro, you want to talk about capabilities. Whenever I'm working on my property, the first thing I do is sit down in my driver's seat and scrape all the mud off of my boots on my Predator step so it falls onto the ground and not into my car.
So it builds capability for keeping the inside of your vehicle clean.
That's right. That's a decently important capability.
I can get you one that's capable that you can do the same thing.
All right.
We'll get you some actual rock sliders put on the side.
So let's talk about other capabilities because we road tripped. Lapin flew into Seattle. I picked him up and we drove to Coeur D'Alene. And anytime I'm on the road, this is simply what I carry. And if you're watching the video, yeah, we're recording. It's just my Glock 43X. This is the car. This is the handgun that I've started to carry in my Allegiance holster. Coupon code endless for 10% off at checkout. And you said, well, we're going on a long road trip. We need a higher level of capability. So talk us through what you decided to bring.
Yeah, so obviously, the term EDC or everyday carry has gotten very popular, and all that really stands for everyday carry, right? What do you carry daily? And it's not just your firearm, so I just increased my everyday carry capability by now. I was carrying a Glock 43. Now I'm carrying a Glock 48 with a red dot on top of it.
Are we going to talk about that red dot, or are we going to save that for another day?
No, we'll save that.
Okay.
We'll save that. Well, no, fuck it. I'm not sponsored by those. I'm not sponsored by them, right? And right now it looks like they're doing the right thing. So
okay,
we'll see. So I'm carrying a Glock 48. I decided to put on top of it a Holosun 507K optic, which is their mini red dot for single stack guns. And I carry a spare mag on me. That's my regular everyday carry. If you want to enhance that package even more, you can buy the 15-round magazines from Shield Arms, right? Which they're metal magazines. They slightly stagger the rounds. Instead of 10 in the mag, you can carry 15. So those are on their way as well.
Which is a substantial increase.
Massive increase. 15-round mags. That's awesome. So I'm pretty happy with my daily carry. And but then I came up a while back, and I'm going to say I came up with it because I've never heard it before. And when all the shit was getting super crazy, I always carried a truck gun. I always carried, one of my SBR carbines in my truck. I always had a rifle with me. But when shit started getting super crazy and riots and people getting attacked, et cetera, I coined the term EDC or E-EDC, which is enhanced everyday carry. And I carry a folding 5.5-inch barrel Sig Rattler chambered in 300 blackout. in a shoulder bag that looks like a normal laptop sort of bag. It's not Molly. It's not Tacticool. It's not Coyote Brown with
with Punisher skulls on it.
Skulls and flags.
The thin blue line.
Yeah.
Your tourniquets mounted to the outside of it.
Yeah, it's none of that. It's
Okay.
it's a very granola kind of.
Well, it's Patagonia, right?
It's Patagonia. It's badass.
So I think Patagonia is a pretty left-leaning company.
I believe so.
So I hope that they're happy to hear
that it's being used to carry a subgun in it. Well, not a subgun, but a carbine in it. So yeah, so I carry that, and I carry some extensive. I say extensive, but some extensive, bleeding, stopping the bleed stuff in that bag as well, and a spare magazine on top of a Surefire flashlight. And if you've heard me talk about lights, weapon lights, handheld lights before, you kind of know how I feel, and that all my tactical lights are Surefire lights.
Well, and I mean, we've talked about that, but we talked about it around a campfire. So explain why. In a condensed version, why you prefer Surefire over others.
So again, I've used other brands of lights throughout my career, pretty hard use, and lights always don't end up just lighting up something. Sometimes you use lights to hit something, lights to break something. And in my experience, Surefire has been the only light that I've used personally that has stood the test of time and handled all the abuse that I put on them when I've had other lights fail and put me at pretty significant risk and danger. So I haven't had that experience with Surefires. I've been using Surefires now for the better part of over a decade. They keep increasing their capability and they keep innovating, and they make fantastic tools. But I carry that bag set up, and I don't walk around with a shoulder bag on every single place I go. But should I find myself moving away from my vehicle at an extended length, I'm going to the mall with my kids or wife, and I know I'm going to be walking several hundred yards down through this mall, upstairs, downstairs, whatever. Well, guess what? Now I have my enhanced concealed carry. This road trip's a perfect example. We're out in the middle of nowhere, and bro, you don't hear about it a lot, but weird shit happens way out in the sticks. People feel like when you're out in the middle of nowhere, people feel like they can get away with shit. And not that I want to find ourselves in a gunfight. And the first thing that I would be recommending, as would you, if we are, the spidey senses are kicking, it's like, hey, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to leave.
Break contact.
We're going to get out of there. However, should we not be able to, man, I don't want to be in a gunfight with a Glock 43X and a Glock 48.
Yeah.
Right? I want to be slinging some bigger bullets down there at a higher velocity with a much higher level of accuracy.
Can you show that bag for people that are actually watching on YouTube?
If you're actually watching on YouTube, I'll hold this up.
I get like 200 views an episode.
There you go. So yeah, Patagonia, it's got like the reflective strip on it, so when you're riding your bicycle with it over your shoulder, you don't get hit by cars. And like I said, no stickers, no Velcro, no Molly. I don't dress that way either. I'm wearing my buddy Dan Licardo said it was a pink shirt, but it's salmon.
It's salmon.
It's
jiu-jitsu
salmon.
shirt.
Yeah, it's a jiu-jitsu shirt. I don't dress tactical.
Grunt style.
I don't wear grunt style
Till
shirts.
Valhalla.
Yeah, don't wear any of that. I don't want to show my hand.
Yep. And the capability thing, like, look what's going on right now. You got gnarly storms down in Louisiana, right?
Oh yeah,
are they still going on, or is that past?
That's past. The weather's cleared up, but yeah, I mean, we get some pretty gnarly storms with a lot of flooding.
So a lot on top of the whole gas. Is the gas crisis hitting you guys too, or are you off outside of that pipeline?
I haven't heard. I think we're outside of it. I think we're good to go.
Okay.
But look, before hurricane season, and when we get like the weather notice that hurricanes are rolling up through the Gulf, dude, gas is gone, bro. Everyone's going and filling up fuel cans and stuff for generators and whatnot, and it's hard to get fuel.
Yeah.
And I went through Katrina too, so
Yeah, firsthand.
First thing that went was the gas stations. You could drive down the streets that you could drive down that weren't flooded. or really walk down because there were a lot of trees down. You couldn't drive vehicles down the streets. Every single car parked on the side of the road, gas tanks open, everything had been siphoned.
Wasn't it? Yeah, you showed me pictures this morning of people filling up Tupperware containers.
Oh, bro. Fucking people are too stupid. Air thieves, man. Air thieves.
Oh, fuck. Well, I can't look back and check our time. Where are we at?
We are at an hour and 40 minutes right now.
Pretty
but we
good.
still have a few more things to talk about, you know?
Yeah, of course we do. We have to talk about Mount Rainier right in front of us.
Ooh.
You see that?
Holy shit, that is amazing.
I've summited that mountain 5 times.
Really?
Yep. And I've went up, for people that are mountaineers, obviously the DC route, the Disappointment Cleaver, is your main one that most people will go up. But I've done the Gibraltar ledges, and then I've went on the Camp Sherman side of the mountain too, which I will never do again because I like climbing mountains to just kind of get away, just like you were talking about with your kids, get out in the woods for a couple days and detach. That's what I like about climbing Mount Rainier. I don't like the routes that make me feel like I'm going to die and I'm never going to see my kids again. Like, I mean, to circle back to what we were talking about, like, I don't fear my own death, but at the same time, I don't want to make it fucking happen by some stupid fucking mountaineering mistake.
Right.
And the last time we climbed that mountain, the fucking glaciers were so hard that, or not the last time, this was 2 times ago actually. Our crampons and the ice axes it was like tink, tink, and you could feel when you were walking with your crampons, you're on top of the ice.
Right.
You're not getting
any bite.
Yeah, and Sheely turned around and said to that, because he's a very, very experienced mountaineer. He's climbed all the big mountains. He's like, hey, just so you know, this ice is so steep and so hard that if one person on the rope team slips, we're all dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm not having fun anymore.
Right.
This just went from getting away for a weekend to I'm not enjoying myself anymore. And it's funny, we got to the summit. We crawled into a volcanic vent that was spewing steam because it was warm.
Yeah.
Crawled in there, warmed up, and like, all right, let's head back down to camp. I said, I'm not going back down the Camp Sherman side. And they go, what the fuck are you talking about? I said, I'm walking down the Disappointment Cleaver. That's a walk in the park compared to that. And like, dude, our camp and our cars are on the Sherman side. I said, I don't give a fuck where our camp and our cars are at. I'll walk the 65 miles around the base of the mountain if I have to, or I'll call a fucking Uber. And we were with 4 people, and all 3 of them were like, Greg, we have to go back down to Sherman, okay? That's where we're going. And Sheely's like, dude, don't fucking leave the climbing party and go walk down the other side of the mountain by yourself. So I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm dying today. Just like I said about Ramadi, I was at the summit of Mount Rainier and came to terms with, okay, I think this is the day I die. And what those motherfuckers don't realize, and Sheely is one of my best friends on planet Earth, but I'm walking on glaciers 2 days a year. That's it, right?
Yeah.
I climb Mount Rainier. We were trying to do it annually for a while. You miss yours here and there, right? So that's my experience walking on glacier. Where he would be, I mean, he's a physician, and he would go work high mountain rescue on Denali for 8 weeks at a time.
Yeah, he's got a lot more currency.
Bro, he's a fucking mountain goat on that stuff. And I'm just a fucking dipshit ready to slide to my death.
Guys, remember what you said, if one guy slips? I'm the guy. I'm the guy that's going to kill all of you. Right?
Like, if the other 3 of you were comfortable on that pitch, I can assure you that I was not.
Yeah,
so,
I'm the guy that's going to kill you guys, you know?
I was also getting hypoxic a little bit. And dude, altitude sickness fucks me up. Because I live at sea level, right? And I think it's just a genetic thing. Some guys can handle altitude well, and some guys,
100%.
It breaks you off.
Yeah.
And I've also had times I've climbed the mountain and felt fine, and then I've climbed the mountain and it just beats the shit out of me. And I was getting kind of altitude sickness and kind of loopy, and I convinced myself that Brian wanted to fight me on the glacier. And I'm like, that motherfucker, dude. And it's weird because we've been like, he was the best man at my wedding. We've been friends since we were 12 years old. We've been in a million fights with other people. We've never fought each other. That's not I don't have that relationship with my friends where I get drunk
and fight each other.
Right? We've been in enough fights with other dipshits. And so, yeah, the first time we're going to fight each other in 20 years is on a glacier. And so when we got back down to camp, I was like, bro, why did you want to fight me up there? And he goes, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's pretty crazy. Now, I mean, again, but it all comes down to kind of capability, and maybe that's an extreme sense of capability, summiting Mount Rainier.
Yeah.
But, being able to move overland, whether that's on foot, on horseback, like how many people can saddle a horse and ride a horse?
Yeah, not me.
Well,
and I'll tell you, mountaineering, for me, I actually think, and maybe I'm incorrect in saying this, but I think most people that are even a decent athlete could summit Mount Rainier, because it's not about how fit you are. It's about your brain saying, fucking put one foot in front of the other now. Okay, now put the next foot in front of the other now. And that's all it is all fucking morning. And Sheely's told me, he goes, I've never seen, because again, he lives up on the mountain with like climbing teams that are there to rescue people. So there are a bunch of mountain goats that are adapted to the altitude.
Right.
Like he goes, I've never seen a man as miserable as you are, unwilling to turn around. He goes, nobody keeps walking when they're like that sick, but it's just because I'm fucking stubborn,
That's the old ranger in you.
But bro, it's good to push your body. Now, obviously, Mount Rainier can kill you. So I'm not saying that's the place to go push your body to the point of exhaustion, but you got to go out there and put yourself through some fucking hardships to the point. Again, capability. Maybe that'll be the fucking name of this episode, right? I know that I could strap a rucksack on and walk for 50 miles right now.
Right.
Does that mean I want to, or that my body will feel good? No. But everybody should be able to know like what they're capable of. And a lot of people aren't.
You follow Mr. Jiu-Jitsu?
No, I don't.
You know who I'm talking about? I don't remember his actual name, but
I'm familiar with the account. Maybe I follow him, but I can't think of anything that he's posted.
yeah, he goes by Mr. Jiu-Jitsu, and he's puts all these little like kind of memes and statements together, and he's like, just because you're overweight and out of shape and you don't know how to fight to protect your kids doesn't make you a piece of shit parent. Oh wait, no, it does. Like he does like a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he released something the other day. He was like, if you don't know how to fight and you're out of shape and you just filled up a bunch of fuel cans, you just got all my fuel for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen those similar memes before,
Right.
when people go into their fucking stupid hoarding mentality,
But again, it goes back, I'm going to go back to a certain level of physical fitness and mobility that you need if the world that we live in broke down even a little bit.
Bro, yeah. And by a little bit, a tiny, tiny bit. Like I feel like there's a tipping point where something is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And I'm not saying we're going to be fucking thrown into the zombie apocalypse, but I just think we're going to see it in our lifetime where your capabilities and your ability to defend yourself and your ability to overcome adversity and work with a group of people in like a survival based scenario. I think we will see that. Maybe not everybody, but I mean, fuck, we've already seen that to a certain extent with certain people. 2020, a lot of people went through a lot of adversity, fucking boarding up the windows of their businesses, sitting in the, I like when I had Ivan Salavari on, he was sitting in his business while Antifa was out front with his AR-15. You know what I mean? Like, things are going to happen where people are going to be tested, and you don't want to wait until that moment to start figuring yourself out, learning about yourself, and focusing on some of the baseline things that will help you be successful in that scenario.
And dude, I'll tell you, I mean, I lived through it going through Katrina, right? Stateside, modern day city, first world problems. That's the whole thing. Bro, 2 days without logistics and resources, people turned into fucking animals, bro. Animals. And you couldn't get fuel at the fuel pumps. Everything was flooded. All the electrical grid was down. There was no power in the entire city. Half of the city was flooded. So people couldn't get fuel. People were siphoning fuel out of other vehicles, other people's cars. People were getting into fights over stuff like that. Criminal element is like immediately, I'm going to take advantage of all the people that can't protect themselves, taking advantage of law enforcement. We got flooded out of our district station at the time that I was assigned there. And we went over to the Walmart, which was in the process of being looted completely. And we went in there and took the Walmart over, right? And got everyone out of there.
I fucking hate people, dude.
What do you think was looted?
Yeah, if tuna fish and rice was looted, I'd say okay.
Right. Well, guess what we did? We took all the tuna, fish, and rice. We actually we commandeered a refrigeration truck, right, that we kept loaded up with fuel, and we cleared out a bunch of the cold foods that we knew we could keep to eat and feed the public and the police, right? And we put that into the food truck, but all the electronics, clothes, like hip clothes, not like
not like they needed
stuff,
a jacket to stay warm,
right? Sneakers, electronics, TVs, guns.
Oh, that's
all
right.
That stuff.
I forgot Walmart.
Yeah.
Well, guns and food I could kind of understand, but yeah, here's the thing: the people that were in there doing that were not having like a logical thought process on what items do I need to protect myself and my family. They were just in there fucking me.
Oh, 100%. And, by day 3, I want to say by like day 3 or 4, right? I want to say it was 3. But anyway, by day 3, what people started realizing is the stereo that they stole, the TV that they stole, they couldn't eat it.
Right? Wait, what?
They couldn't eat it.
So you got,
and they were very, very
the non-edible televisions?
Yeah. And they were getting very, very fucking hungry. And they were starving. And they ran out of whatever food was in their house. And they didn't have potable water to drink. Right? So all these people that for the first few days were shooting at us while we're in boats rescuing people from rooftops and from second story windows. Well, now they needed rescue.
Yep.
And all these houses that we were going into and rescuing these people from had boxes torn apart and brand new TVs and brand new stereos. And
should have fucking left them.
Dude, the city unraveled into a free-for-all and people turned into fucking animals in the matter of like 3 days. So it doesn't take a whole lot and for people to just boom go back right back to the fucking Stone Age times.
Well, like my buddy said, he said most people are 9 meals away from becoming savages.
Well, there you go. 9 meals, 3 days.
Speaking of meals, are you hungry at all?
I'm fucking starving.
Ellensburg, we're pulling into Ellensburg. That's one of the last, like, legit cities before we go over the mountains.
Yeah.
So should we stop and get some food?
Let's stop and get some food. I'm starving, and I got to pee again, dude. I got to take a piss.
Yeah, so, I mean, we fucking talk about the same shit all the time, but it's also kind of bouncing it around off of current ideas and current events, and we continue to see things happen like the pipeline where now people are out of fuel. And if you're out of fuel, you probably didn't plan right. If you're out of ammo, you probably didn't plan right. If you have no source of electricity, you probably didn't plan right. And it's not even all crazy end of the world shit. Like, our power went out and we fucking we're like one of the only houses in the neighborhood to have just a little Honda generator.
That's right. Yeah.
To keep our food cold for 3 days until the power lines got fucking strung back up. And it's weird how everybody's so reliant. And I mean, I am to a certain extent too, but that's a goal over the next 24 months. I want to be reliant on nobody. Well, that's the whole idea of an off-grid facility where I have my own power, my own water sources, there's food out there. And again, not to go down some fucking rabbit hole, but just to do it with my family and experience that and enjoy each other's company while building capabilities. I think it's going to be rewarding. And the other side of it is if we ever find ourselves in a scenario where we do have to rely on each other and rely on those resources that we so carefully built and meticulously put into place. If that scenario presents itself, I think we're going to be closer as friends, closer as family, because hardships bring people together. And that's one reason why I actually, fuck man, it's hard. I used to say I hope this never happens, but I'm to a point where I think we kind of need it to happen. I think it'd be good for us.
A mass reset.
Yep, a mass reset.
Yeah.
So just because we're parking and getting ready to eat, was there anything else on your mind that we had kind of written down or talked about that we needed to hash out before we wrap this up?
The only thing that I've got written down in my notes was talking about the challenge coin thing.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
You know, it's kind of cool. And I think people can do their own research. And the way this came up is, so our Guns and Geese camp, we have our class 002 starting this month in just like about a week and a half on the 21st. And then we're getting ready to put out dates for the end of this year and the beginning of next year. So be on the lookout for that. But we got challenge coins for the alumni. If you attend Guns and Geese, on top of getting a certificate of attendance, you will get a challenge coin. And a lot of the students asked us, well, man, what's this mean? You know, we don't understand. And for the military guys out there, they kind of know. And every unit organization kind of gets a challenge coin if you were in that unit. Sometimes guys, if you're very closely attached as a you know, like appreciation, showing of appreciation, the guys from that unit will give you a unit coin. But generally speaking, you don't get a coin unless you were part of that unit.
Yep.
And it's become a thing within military and law enforcement circles that, you know, getting coined or coining someone, right? You see a homie and you walk up to the bar and you slap your coin down on the bar. And if they can't produce their coin, well, then they're buying the round. Now, if they produce their coin,
now you're buying
the round, right? So I started kind of delving into it because I'll be honest, I didn't really know the history of it either. And there's some different stories, but generally what it sounds like is the stories actually start back to like the days of the Spartans and the Roman Empire and all that stuff, is that if a warrior put on an amazing showing or a really good fight, afterwards, royalty, someone very high up or very high up in their command structure and their rank, right, would kind of make a big show and slap a gold coin, because that's your monetary and payment and all that stuff, and would slap a gold coin down to make a big show, and that would be that warrior's coin. Fast forward to Revolutionary War times, they were using coins for bona fides of basically clandestine operations and agents. So if you and I were meeting, you know, a certain coin, if you had to put a certain coin down on the table, and if it wasn't the right coin, then maybe you had been infiltrated and you weren't the person I was supposed to meet, but the right coin, the right date, that was our bona fides. Now we can have our meeting. Same thing during World War II with the OSS. And that started to kind of become a unit coin. Unless you were part of that organization, you didn't get the coin. And that was my bona fides.
So your coin basically vouched for you.
Your coin vouched for you.
There's no other way you should have that.
That's right. There was no other way you should have that. And now it's like, now it's become kind of, hey, you were at that unit, here's your unit coin sort of thing. And it's become a, you know, whatever you want to call it.
Just a tradition.
A tradition. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And I hope those guys are excited to get their Guns and Geese alumni coin.
They're awesome coins.
Because there's no other way to get them, and that coin will vouch for them.
100%. And that's what's cool. That's what's cool about it for me is like, you can't buy this coin, and you're not going to get given one unless you attended the camp.
Yeah. And
a lot of unit coins have Latin. You know, it's been become big in military law enforcement circles, a Latin saying that sounds something badass. But you and I were talking like, hey, what should we have on the back of the coin? And it says on the back of the coin, "Stay dangerous" in English, and then underneath it, instead of Latin, because we're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so we talk to Joao, right?
Yep.
In Portuguese, it says "Seja perigoso," which means "stay dangerous" in Portuguese.
I like that. So. And the whole "stay dangerous" thing Because whenever I would deploy or whenever you would deploy, you know, your friends and family is like, oh, stay safe over there. And it's like, I'm not going over there to be safe.
That's right. What we do is
I'm going over there to be fucking dangerous.
That's right. That's right.
And so that's where that we both were talking about that. And it's funny because we both had that conversation with our friends and family. Like, and we didn't know each other back then, you know? And so we're like, dude, that needs to go on the coin. And that's what we did. So it's pretty fucking awesome, dude.
So come out to Guns and Geese camp and get your challenge coin.
Yeah, get your challenge coin and work your firearm fundamentals and your jiu-jitsu. And it's, again, this doesn't need to turn into another promo for Guns and Geese, but everybody there had fun. Everybody there got better. Everybody there made friends. And everybody there increased their tribe and their capabilities. And it's like, what else, what better can you do with a weekend than do all those things? And so it's been really fun. We're headed back down next, I think by the time this episode airs, I might be back down in New Orleans doing class 2. So yep, we're chipping away at it. And then we're going to set class 3 for this fall because I don't think most humans want to go train in New Orleans in July or August. So we'll let it cool off a little bit and then we're going to run it back for class 3 and eventually maybe probably sometime early next year add a carbine course in, correct?
Yeah, the second 2.0.
Yep. So, all right, that's all I got for today. If you are watching, you can see we're parked out front of a Taco Del Mar with a big blue trash can in front of us. And we're going to get some food and head home and train some more jiu-jitsu. So thanks for listening, guys. And we will do the Greg and Greg show plenty more times in the future.
The Greg and Greg show. Out.